fun to create conversation and share it. Arrow.net, ARROE.net. We are unplugged and totally uncut with Courtney, Lance, and Tori from My Celebrity Dream Wedding.
Hi, good morning.
Doing great.
Great. How are you? Good morning.
I'm fantastic because it's time to start really talking about weddings and things because, I mean, we've had a couple of seasons here where, weddings have been, we're going to do that in the backyard instead of in these gigantic, beautiful rooms that deserve to have the attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way that we get people back into the mindset and mode of a fairy tale wedding or just having the celebration itself. I mean, because I'm a wedding DJ. I've been doing that for 28 years. We need to get people back together again. What are you guys seeing from your side?
From our side, the safest way to get people back together again is to require testing in advance of the wedding, require the mask wearing, so that when everyone's together, they can all just celebrate and enjoy together without having to be worried about the, imminent danger of COVID.
Now, Lance, I did talk about fairy tale weddings. Are they still there? Because I've done some really fun, Star Wars weddings to many themed weddings and stuff like that. But the fairy tale wedding, is it still alive?
It definitely is still alive, but the fairy tale of today may not be what you expect. People have different versions of what a fairy tale is to them these days. They want out-of-the-box, unique experiences. They create their own unique version of a fairy tale wedding.
Now, Courtney, when it comes to weddings and things like that, we all sit there and we study it because even when it's going on, it's like, okay, this is what I'm not going to do the next time. What is the one thing that brides and grooms need to change? Because it seems like the new tradition is not to have tradition at all.
The one thing that brides and grooms definitely need to change are having massive guest counts, unless their budget will allow for it. A lot of people don't realize that their guest count really impacts the overall budget, and also it impacts what you can do with your decor. When your budget is larger, you can have a large guest count, but if you have a smaller budget, you can have more impactful design within your decor.
Tori, now when you build upon the subject that she just talked about, because everybody wants, it's like going to a bat mitzvah or a bar mitzvah. You want to have as many people there as possible. But I swear to God, some of my most successful weddings have been the smaller versions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How do you get the opportunity to say, "Hey, mom, back it down. Let's have fewer people, more fun, less money"?
Actually, with my wedding, no, I had a bunch of people at my wedding, so my mother and mother-in-law was anxious to have their friends and their family members as well as our family members all come together as one. So, and that's usually the challenge with families is usually someone has a larger wedding party out of the two, or a larger family out of the two. So sometimes it's a challenge to kind of trim that down. But what my suggestion is for couples is to create a A-list, B-list, C-list. That way you can start with the people that are the closest to you, your immediate family, your wedding party, and then you kind of trickle on down from there. That way, if it's a budget issue, you don't have to go back through your entire guest list. You can start from that C list and work your way up. And if people can't make it from the A list and B list, and then you can go back to the C and see if you want to invite them as well.
The show we're talking about is VH1's My Celebrity Dream Wedding. One of the things that I'm starting to see, which is becoming a trend, is that brides and grooms are seeing each other before they say, "I do." Man, my God, I love that moment when they walk in and she's there. It's beautiful. It makes me want to cry. But if they're seeing each other before, doesn't that take away from it?
In my opinion, of course, that is definitely a new trend, that first look moment with the bride and groom, or the groom and groom, or the bride and bride. But, that has been a new trend. But I would have to agree with you. My favorite moment is when they come down the aisle and, the person at the end just starts crying, or they both start crying. That is also a special moment for me. But the first look does give them an opportunity to have that intimacy without all the guests around, without the expectations of everyone around, that they can really take each other in. So I guess it all boils down to a matter of preference. But, I am a fan of the first look coming down the aisle for sure.
Hey, Lance, I noticed that there are some grooms getting involved, but sometimes the grooms just don't want to participate. We got to get them involved in this, don't we?
Most definitely, but you would be surprised. I mean, the grooms of today they have their say, and they want their opinions heard. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times they're just as involved in a financial piece. So listen, if you're paying to play, you want your voice heard. So yeah, grooms of today are definitely becoming more active. You'd be surprised.
There's one thing that I'm noticing when it comes to guys and stuff like that, Courtney, and that is a lot of guys in the years after the I do, they're out there in grocery stores with their children and stuff like that. How do you plant that seed of you're not going to believe what's going to happen to you in the next few years?
It's funny. A lot of guys, and, they embrace that kind of father duty and, super dad role. So it's great when you see them with their kids, because it means that, like, everything doesn't fall on the mom every time. It's good to share responsibilities. And it's not, there can be role reversals. There are no gender roles in today's society, that we those traditional roles. So I think it's good when you see that. And if you're giving them advice, let's just go with the flow. Don't have expectations on your marriage. Just go with the flow, communicate, and just, keep it real with each other, and you can't go wrong there.
One of the things I'm starting to see, Tori, is that it's not about the mother-in-law or the mother. It's about dad. It's becoming dad's wedding, too.
Yes, it actually is. What they say, daddy's little girl.
Right.
So definitely just making an impact and making sure not only just dad, but both parents feel very special and definitely a part of that day. It's definitely about the bride and groom, but it's about bringing family together. And I think that's a very important aspect of it.
Well, speaking of bringing families together, I totally lose it when I see a bride walk in with her stepfather and her father. I just love moments like that.
Oh, yeah. That's been really big, too, as well. I've done a few weddings where the bride definitely wants to incorporate her father and her stepfather in that moment, because both of them have played a pivotal moment in her life. So sometimes you'll see the dad walk her halfway and then the stepdad walks her the rest of the way, or vice versa, or sometimes you just see both of them escorting her down the aisle as well. And I think that's a very special moment, and I think that's very considerate of the today's bride.
The show we're talking about is VH1's My Celebrity Dream Wedding. The design of weddings, ceremonies and stuff like that. Instead of a matron of honor, I'm seeing a lot of man of honors, which is like, wow, that's a new thing, and people are so celebrating that.
Yes, most definitely. Listen, whoever your bestie is, whether it's male, female, whoever's been there to support you in life, that's who you want standing there on that day. So, yeah, I'm glad that's becoming a trend. People don't feel like they have to stay within the box of a bridesmaids or best man or, best woman. Have your best friend by your side, no matter who that is.
Courtney, how do you react when the bride and groom say, yeah, take a picture of us over here by the cake cutting it. It's not important anymore. I always thought that sharing the cake, was the very first step of trust.
No, absolutely. I think that is something that should definitely be included in every wedding reception. You don't want to overlook that. They might think that they don't want it now, but looking back at those pictures 10 years later and being able to show their children and grandchildren that, it's such a special moment. And, there are traditional things that people do kind of want to miss, but when you're looking back in the scheme of things, you're going to really want to include those. I know I missed out on some things for my wedding that make me just want to have another wedding just so I can fulfill everything that I didn't do. So definitely try to stay true to those traditional moments as you wish, and you'll really appreciate them later.
Tori, one thing that seems to be taking place a lot lately is that the introduction or the celebration of second and third marriages, and they are treating it like as if it's their first. And I love the way they embrace family and include the kids. What are you experiencing on your side?
Yes, I've had people, couples that have renewed vows a couple of times. That's always a trend. I also have couples that have remarried a couple of times, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be special, and they don't have to just go to the courthouse. So I'm here for it. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, Lance, we got to hit it where we need it most. Is it a toast or is it a roast? And is it getting old to sit there and tell 12-minute stories?
I think it depends on the crowd and the personality of the couple. I think that goes back to the whole aspect of people making weddings their own these days. And if you're more of a roast and less of a toast, let's have a laugh, So whatever works for you.
One of the things that seems to take place in a lot of weddings, and I've not been to a celebrity wedding, but that's the reason why I tap into your show is because it's a celebrity dream wedding. But what about when the photographer is taking his time or her time, and an hour and 15, 30 minutes later, they find the bride and groom are finally released into the celebration?
Oh, that's a no-no for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. You got to be able. Time is of essence at a wedding because it's not like we have the whole night to celebrate. So for me, what I try to do is have the bride and groom to take pictures, even if they don't want to see each other. Try to knock out a lot of the photos before the ceremony actually starts. And knock out a lot of the individual photos of themselves, maybe pictures of the groom with his groomsmen, the brides with her bridesmaids, and even the wedding party together. That way, after the ceremony, they're not having to take up so much time. You usually get about 35, 40 minutes to knock out those photos, and that should be it.
Courtney, we're into the wedding season right now, and there are wedding shows all over this nation. They're going to be going on up until March and April and things like that. These vendors are spending a lot of money, and you guys are vendors too, but they're spending all of this money to get the attention of the bride and groom. And then you hear something like, well, my brother said he's going to do it for me. How do you make it through that mountain?
Well, that is, a big no-no for me. Within my company, I only want to use those vendors that I have vetted out, that are recommended, that are insured and licensed and approved vendors. Because what you don't want to happen is to get down to it and your cousin is DJing. We had that happen on a wedding. Your cousin is DJing and he can't get the music right. The music won't start. So then the ceremony is delayed. The reception is delayed. And you just want to make sure that you have people who are experienced. And if it is your cousin who's a great DJ, who is, experienced and well-vetted, fine, we can use him. But if it's someone that you're just giving an opportunity to, I appreciate the gesture, but this is your day and you don't get a second chance at it. So you want everything to be perfect. So hire those really experienced vendors that can really make your day truly special.
The three of you, we've all been in this business for a long time, and we get emotionally involved because we help them design their presentation, their celebration. When it's all said and done, do you mourn? Because I sure do. I mourn the fact that I may never see these people again.
No, I mean, I definitely don't mourn that. I mean, listen, through this experience working with people, these people become family. They really do. They become like family.
Sure yep.
And their weddings a lot of times aren't the last time we see them. They're coming back for other celebrations, for birthday parties, for baby showers, for retirement parties. So they become legacy members of the brand. So we love seeing them.
See, that's what it's a continuation of stories. That's like coming up in March. This will be the 9th time I've been with this family because it keeps going to cousins and I just love that connection with people, and you get to watch people grow old together.
Exactly. And it's truly a magical experience just to see their love, to see them grow their families. It's really a magical and rewarding experience. We really have one of the best jobs because we get to be a part of people's lives, and, and they can include us or exclude us as much as they want, but we can watch from afar, and it's just so special, and I'm really appreciative of it.
Well, I appreciate you guys with My Celebrity Dream Wedding because, once again, it's about getting families and everybody back together, but not in the backyard. We've got to have real celebrations that we can carry forward. So thank you so much for everything that you guys are doing on VH1.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For having us.
Thank you for having us.
You be brilliant this weekend,
so
okay?
much.
You bet. You be brilliant.
You too. Thank
Okay, you too.
Thank you.